hanging out here with Michael Botte of the Michael Botte Band. And we've learned all sorts of stuff today, Michael. Holy smokes.
Yep. Who said you can't learn anything on a Sunday? Absolutely.
I am just amazed by all this. And Michael Botte is with us. He joins us live as live can get, and he is like shot out of a cannon today. Talking to artists, interviewing, helping us interview people, just doing all sorts of things. So Michael, you have just a tremendous background in music. Run it down for us, my friend. You got all sorts of things going on. You and after I found out you're doing a podcast, you're doing all sorts of stuff. You're busier than a fruit merchant, my friend.
I'm trying. You know what it is? I want to contribute to this indie music community that, I'm a part of and that I love. And I haven't really been around for that long, to be honest. I never recorded a note in my life until 2020, until quarantine. I never recorded a note in my life. The Michael Botte Band was born over COVID quarantine. You've probably heard that story before. But I'm the guy that's been playing, writing music for 20 years in the corner, just doing it for fun. I have so many songs in my book that I never actually recorded and put out. And then finally, when I had the time over quarantine, wasn't traveling for work, wasn't, running my daughter all over the place. I had time to make music, and I finally learned how to make demos, send demos, got producers and all that great stuff. So I just started this gig, but I have certainly jumped in, head first. Let's
Head
put it that
first,
way.
yes. We have got Michael Botte with us today from the Michael Botte Band, and he joins us live here on our big broadcast. And you're joining us each and every week over there at 990 WBOB out there in Rhode Island, of all places. And, of course, 50-plus AM/FM stations across the country and around the world. AM/FM247.com as well, iHeartRadio. And you can get, and I can say it because it's Sunday, the podcast is available on Spotify, TalkShoe, all sorts of different places. So you started making music during the whole lockdown thing. What positioned you in that? Were you just like, I got nothing to do. I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so
take it for us,
good
my
question.
friend.
My daughter had been drumming in a couple different bands. She was a member of the local rock school, Let There Be Rock School of Rock.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah, she
awesome.
was a drummer and messing around as a teenager, and when COVID came, everything kind of shut down. She wasn't playing in the bars and wasn't doing stuff. She was only 14, 15 years old at the time. She said, "Dad, like, why don't you try to make music now?" And I never even thought about getting a computer and a DAW and, recording and mixing and mastering. I never even considered that like my songs would get that far. I was just doing it for fun in the corner, just for therapy, like I talked about. Music is my therapy. And then, I learned how to make demos and did some recordings and met my producer, and it just went so fast. So it just kind of catapulted like that over the quarantine time. I had the time to do it. And to be honest, I mean, even though the Michael Botte Band was born over quarantine, a lot of things affected my family in a very different way. It wasn't a very pretty scene for us. So I had a lot to write about. I had a lot to say. I had a lot on my mind. So a lot of my songs that have been recently released were quarantine songs juxtaposed with songs written 25 years ago. So it's strange. I'm all over the place.
We have got Michael Botte from the Michael Botte Band with us today. He joins us live here on our big program. So what is your writing process like, my friend?
I've been asked that before, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
what. I will tell you how I wish it worked. And I'll
I'll
tell you
tell you how I wish it worked, he
I'll tell you how
says.
I wish it worked. Then I'll tell you how it works. I wish, like today, Sunday morning, I wish I could wake up, grab my acoustic, go sit under a tree with a pen and paper and just write the most magnificent song, write Hey Jude, right?
That's right.
That is not how it works for me. What happens to me is I wake up at 3 in the morning with like a melody, a chorus, or like a line that I remember that, oh man, I wonder if that fits this little riff that I wrote. So I'm the guy in my phone trying to sing like a chorus or a melody. It's just awful in my phone, or using my notes app and feverishly typing lyrics. And my wife's like, what are you doing? Like, please stop. And the best part is waking up like for real the next day and trying to decipher what I wrote down. So I call them lightning bolt moments. I wish they came at the right time, but these lightning bolt moments come all over the place. And my voice memo app on my phone is filled with thoughts and ideas. So it's a wreck, brother. It's a mess.
It's Michael Botte from the Michael Botte Band. He's with us today here on our broadcast. And as we get to our top of the hour here, you mentioned earlier that you have a podcast. How in the world do we find this?
Yeah, so anywhere on YouTube, Facebook, it's part of the Blast Music 247 family, and it's specifically the Blaster Rock and Metal podcast. And what's funny about the owners of this company, I was on one of their podcasts years ago when I first started, and I had a song that came out called "Leave This Town." It was like a country rock song. I kind of started in country rock, but then I left country rock. Although country rock was very good to me, it opened some doors. So I'm on this podcast under Blast Music. I forget what the name of the podcast was, and I befriended some of the DJs. Troy, DJ Veep, who's one of the owners now, and they liked my song so much that they introduced me to a record company, and I got signed by a record company for a year. I'm no longer with that company, but because I was on a podcast, just like I'm doing with you, DJ liked my song, recommended me to a friend of his who owned a record company, and I actually got signed for a year. So it was a really
awesome.
quick ride, man. So that's how I got to become friends with Troy, DJ Veep, and D-Ray, the producer, all the folks over there at Blast Music 247. And now I'm running, part of one of their podcasts.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So, take us through that whole thing of setting up the podcast and getting the guests, and what was all that like? Because I know that when I've interviewed other podcast people, it's kind of interesting how their whole process goes.
Yeah, it's a great question. But fortunately for me, I am just a hired gun. So I'm podcast number 20 of probably 21 or 22. So they had done 19 prior. So the blueprint had been set over on, we use Zoom. Yeah, we use the profile had been set. The blueprint had been set. All I do is come on, click my little microphone, and I get to interview the guests. Now, for the most part, I have found a lot of the guests myself just because I live in that indie music community. I'm a member of ISSA, the International Singer-Songwriters Association. I'm also one of their representatives. So I get to, interview a lot of the people that I've met through ISSA, but then sometimes Blast Music will, feed me some bands that I'll check out and see if it's appropriate. But I do a lot of the hunting myself, and it's been so much fun. We've only done maybe, I don't know, 15 episodes. I don't even know, 12, 15 episodes, but it's fun, man. It really is.
That's awesome. So, how do you prepare for your interviews?
Typically, usually I'm fed the band. If I find the band, then I know a little bit about them, right? But usually if I'm fed the band, usually that week, so the podcasts usually record on Thursdays. So usually that week, I'll listen. So usually they'll send in 3 songs for us to play. So I'll listen to those 3 songs, try to get the lyrics because I'm a lyrics guy. I want to know what you're saying, the story. And then I'll do a little bit of history. I'll search them, do my history, where they've been. I always divide the podcast into 3 sections, kind of where you've been, where you are, and where you're going.
That's
so
awesome.
I want to talk about, past, present, future. So I just do my prep work, make my notes. But to be honest, so much of it is organic. You know how this goes. You have your prep, your notes, but sometimes the artist will divert and you have to steer with them and maybe drive them back a little bit. But really my notes almost just become a bit of a overarching theme, but I just kind of go as the flow, and we talk for an hour, and it's amazing how fast that time goes.
That's awesome. We have got Michael Botte with us today from the Michael Botte Band. He joins us live here on our big program, and of course it is hour number 2 of the Jiggy Jaguar Experience. Thanks for joining us here on our big program. And in our first hour, we were scheduled to have Richard Evans at 1 Central, then Michael Botte at 1:30 Central. What ended up happening is the band that is supposed to join us now joined us at that hour, Absolute Unse. So we had to move everything around. Michael is such a good sport that he hung out and helped us interview Richard, helped us interview Absolute Unse, and now we're interviewing him. So you're such a good sport, my friend.
Yeah,
because you could have not been.
Well, of course. Yeah, no, not
that is one thing I will have to say. So when you set up all of your stuff, once you started doing the music thing and you were writing the music and doing all that, what was the infrastructure like to set up all the stuff on the websites and the social media and do all that? Take us through that whole thing.
Yeah, so I didn't like all I had was a laptop, a guitar, and an interface. And this bedroom, second bedroom where I'm sitting right now, is where every note I ever played or every word I ever sung was recorded, typically with two dogs at my feet. So there wasn't a whole lot of infrastructure. I had a 25-year-old Shure SM57 with a little pop filter. That is it. That's all I've ever used. I love my Shure SM57. But then, yeah, I started recording some demos, and then I started sending demos out to like different Facebook groups to get like some help and attention on mixing and mastering, and that's how I met my producer. So one of the Facebook groups, we met on the internet, my producer and I, and we started just making music together. And then, came the website and the Facebook profile. I didn't know anything about that stuff. I didn't know that's how you promoted music. I didn't know how this worked. And I ended up, promoting music to, thousands of radio stations. I've been played on thousands of radio stations, very fortunately, and I have a network. And it just came so fast. But like I said before, I had the time to learn and grow and study because I wasn't doing so much of the other stuff. And we know over COVID,
Yeah.
man, you had to keep yourself busy or you kind of might lose yourself a little bit. So I lost myself in the music, but I lost myself in studying how to write, play, record, and then promote music as well. So it was a lot in a short period of time.
Well, we had more action during COVID because all these musicians, all these porn people, all these political people, all these fuckers were just sitting at home doing nothing.
Yep.
And I kind of thought, well, I got nothing to do. They might as well talk to my dumbass. So that's kind of what we did with our COVID time. You of course built a music career, which is amazing.
Hey man, I have the coolest hobby in the world. I've said that over and over again.
So you mentioned that you got signed for a year. What the hell was that like? Take us through that year.
Yeah, again, it happened so fast. I was releasing a song called Radiate, and Radiate was my first song after the country rock sort of period. My first, I guess, 5 releases, I guess, were in that country rock vein. And it just, it was great, but it just wasn't where my heart was. So I wanted to get more into that like alt pop kind of world. So Radiate was my first song after that. So I had, starry eyes, and I thought, you know what, I need help promoting this and getting this off the ground. It's sort of a new avenue for me. And after I met the record company, it was kind of a quick courtship. And then I signed for that 1 year. It was a 1 year contract, but things didn't work out as I would have expected. And then, you hear that story a lot. Things just, I don't want to say the company's name or anything. I don't want to smear anybody because they had great intentions, but it just did not work out the way it was supposed to work out or the way the contract read it was supposed to work out. So I did not renew. And I just discovered that I could do a lot of things on my own that maybe others can't. But so, yeah, it wasn't the best experience, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what not to do. I learned a lot
about what not to do.
Yeah, so it was a great experience, I got to say. But I met some phenomenal people that are still friends of mine, of course. So I did take something from that experience positively. I have dear musical friends that I'll keep forever.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have got a great guest with us today. Michael Botte is with us from the Michael Botte Band. He joins us live here on the Sunday radio broadcast. And doing the whole music thing. When did you realize through that process, that year process, when did you realize, hey, this is great, but being signed to a label is just not what it's all cracked up to be?
It was after the first release.
Oh, okay.
Per contract, they released 3 songs.
Okay.
And so the first song, Radiate, was slated to be released, and it didn't work at all how it was supposed to work.
Yeah.
And then every song after that didn't work either. So I filled my contract, and then I left very, very quickly. It just didn't work out.
Wow. Well, you learned a heck of a lot.
I did.
You got, one of the things that I think is awesome is that you were signed to a label.
Yeah.
And there was and there's a lot of people that you hear about, you see about all over the damn internet who are like, "Oh my God, if I could just get a deal."
Yeah.
And then with you, you're like, it's not what it's all cracked up to be, folks.
Yeah, labels are not the same as they were in the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Even with the streaming services and the way music is today, it's labels. It's very very challenging to get your money back, to get that ROI, unless you tour like a dog or sell a lot of merch. Or streaming
Yeah,
services, the money doesn't go to the artist; it goes to the big wigs, as you know.
yeah,
So it's very challenging. The labels are very different. It's a very different model today than it once was. Those big advances and upfront fee, those that's not the way things work like they used to. It's very different
yes,
today. Now,
yes,
sometimes it does, but very, very rarely. And then once you do get an advance from a label, they own your ass. They absolutely own your ass until you pay that loan back, which can take years. So
yeah.
it's not the same as it used to be, man.
Well, I remember years ago, somehow, some way, I don't know how the hell I don't know how the hell I get involved in some of these things, but somehow I got into a conference call. Of course, it was a conference call. It's always a conference call. With at the time my digital marketing guy and somebody from Sony Records, and they were explaining to us all sorts of different things of how things are done and how things go. And they told us at one point, they said the days of record labels buying you houses like we used to do for Motley Crue, he said, those days are
Different model.
over.
It's a different model. Yeah.
He said those days are over. And one of the things that he explained to us, which I have tried to explain this to all sorts of indie artists over and over and over and over and over, and they don't want to listen, and that's fine. Don't. But
Yep.
one of the things that they told me was they said we want numbers. They said we want numbers. We want to be able to take a guy who has 1 billion, Facebook followers, and then sign him. And then when we put his music out, and somebody in Wisconsin sees it, they go, "Oh my God, that guy's got 1 billion Facebook followers," and then they connect that with the record label, and in reality, he got them without the record label.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
The development days, it's tough. The whole development deals, people want established artists that they could just kind of accelerate or,
yes,
amplify maybe. But to start from scratch, development deals, nah, I don't think those are
yeah,
going to happen
yeah,
anymore.
yeah, and it was kind of an interesting conversation to uh, really kind of learn that whole thing. We have got Michael Botte with us today from the Michael Botte Band. He joins us live here on our big program. Your experience with being signed to a label reminds me of some folks that I know who they have never been signed to a label, but they have had so much success that they didn't need a label. For instance, a blues musician that used to be kind of in our world, Anthony Gomes. Anthony was never signed to a label. However, he got to be the #1 Billboard blues artist. Didn't need a label.
Don't matter.
Didn't need it. Michael Botte with us today. So as we kind of wrap up everything here, what is next for you? And where can people find your music and all the various stuff?
Yeah, so what's great is that just Friday, so 2 days ago, was my last release. It was a Lenny Kravitz inspired kind of pop rock song.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
called Shine Down. So it just came out on Friday. Really fun to play, fun to do, a little bit of synth, some effects, kind of pop rock, a little bit more pop for me than I've done in the past. But it was really fun to do, and it's Shine Down kind of for the summertime. So yeah, anywhere Michael Botte Band is what I use for all of my handles, except for Twitter or X. It was M Botte because it was too big. But really, if you type in Michael Botte Botte Band, I'm everywhere.
You'll find it. It's just the best. Just the
Everywhere.
best thing. Okay, well, Michael, before we let you go, what is the plan for the next 6 months as far as like your social media and various things? What are you looking to do with that?
Well, like any musician should say, you're going to make and release more music. So, Shinedown just came out the 13th of June. My next release will be out September, I believe, 5th. And then we're going to do a little bit something different in November. And then my next release for January of next year got completed yesterday.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I got completed yesterday. So I got a bunch, on the shelves just to get ready for release. My producer is a busy man. He produces for a lot of people, so I always have to stay ahead of the curve with him. So I want to get a couple releases ahead because he gets busy. So yeah, it's exciting.
That's awesome. That you're like, we're gonna get the next thing done now.
Yep. Yep. So we're good through January.
That is amazing. Well, Michael, before we let you go, run it down for us one more time. How do we get your stuff? Get involved with what you're doing, all that stuff.
Yep, Michael Botte Band. Not only do I make music, I'm also an International Singer-Songwriters Association representative for the greater Philadelphia area.
That's awesome.
ISSA. Please go join. It's free. Don't cost nothing. And the community is amazing. Then also, I am a member of the Blast Music 247 family running the Blaster Rock and Metal podcast. So I have so much fun making music as well as talking to other people about their music.
Awesome. Well, you are amazing. Thank you for making some time for us
Thank
today.
You,
and we will talk to you soon. Thank you, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. There he goes. That is
Hey,
Michael Botte from the Michael Botte Band. He's with us today here in our big broadcast. We are going to do this. We are going to go to Michael Botte. We are going to play some Michael Botte. And kind of interesting stuff. We do love Michael Botte. I'm looking here. We're going to play Shinedown. Maybe.
We're gonna burn so bright against the wind.
That is the Michael Botte Band, and you can get more information online. michaelbotteband.com is the official website. Go check that out today. So we are going to do this. We are going to take a brief time out, and when we come back, we have got more coming up. You are listening to the big broadcast known the world over as the Jiggy Jaguar Experience. If I can get my music to play, which is always fun, I always hope that my music will play. We'll see what happens.
Check out more on this podcast and the rest of the circus.
Getting it in with Johnny Kim.
Jiggy Jaguar.
Oh.
Jiggy Jaguar.
Oh.
Jiggy Jaguar.
Oh. I hear you.
Jiggy Jaguar.
On the radio. You do talk to me.
JiggyJaguar.com.
He's an Asian guy that is into E40.
Jiggy Jaguar.
The biggest fan of E40 that there possibly could be.
What do you know about E40?
JiggyJaguar.com. Back to the Jiggy Jaguar Show on the network.
Yes, indeed, you are listening to the world famous Jiggy Jaguar Experience. Live coast to coast, border to border on iHeartRadio today. Get a hold of us online over there at JiggyJaguar.com. That is JiggyJaguar.com. And we have got a great guest we're going to talk to here in just a few moments. Get a hold of us online over there at KJAGradio.com as well for all of our music interviews. And we have got a great guest we are going to go to here in just a few seconds. And you can get a hold of us, as I mentioned, KJAGradio.com. All the various places. Find us on Twitter, all the stuff. But this weekend at the Red Shed, that's right, the Red Shed Music Venue, they have got a fantastic program coming to you. The Melody Trucks are going to be in the building, and we have got a fantastic guest with us today. We go to the telephones. Welcome to the broadcast, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good, actually. So tell me a little bit about the Melody Trucks.
Well, I am Melody Trucks. That's my name. Basically, I'm working with some amazing musicians from, the Midwest. I'm working with Paul Brackens on bass and Ben Bickline on the drums. They usually play with a very good friend of mine, Jackson Stokes. And then we've got Nick Schnebelin on guitar. So
Fantastic.
This is the first time that this particular group of musicians have played together is this weekend. And we did our first gig last night, and it was absolutely amazing. We had a great time.
That is awesome. Melody Trucks with us today. They join us live here on our big program. You can get more information on the website, melodytrucks.com. That's MELODY trucks.com. So, how in the world did the Melody Trucks get started? Talk to me a little bit about this.
Well, so my father was Butch Trucks, who was the drummer for the Allman Brothers Band.
Yep.
And my cousin is Derek, and music has just been a part of my family for as long as I can remember. I actually started my music career in 2017, very shortly after my father passed. I put my first band together, which was the Melody Trucks Band. Fantastic lineup of guys from Jacksonville, Florida. Unfortunately, that particular band did not last through the pandemic. But since then, what I've been doing is I've actually, because I have such an extensive musical family, I just have a tendency to put groups of amazing musicians together to see what happens.
That is
and
awesome.
that's what we're doing this week.
That is fantastic. The Melody Trucks are going to be part of a gigantic show at the Red Shed Music Venue coming up May 10th. Showtime, 8 p.m. Tickets are $20 at the door. This is going to be an amazing, amazing piece of business. So talk to me a little bit about the lineup for that night.
Well, like I said, it's Paul Brackens. He's on the bass, and Ben Bickline on the drums. The way that I got to know Jackson Stokes, which is the band that they usually play with, Jackson is basically a mentee of Devin Allman. Apparently, Devin moved in right across the street from Jackson when he was like 10 years old, and Jackson went and knocked on his door and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Allman, will you teach me how to play guitar?"
That's awesome.
So this was supposed to be a tour with Jackson, but he got tapped to go do a European tour with Devin this week. So I get to hang out with the rest of his band. So that's how it all came together.
That is tremendous. That is tremendous. We have got Melody Trucks with us today. They are going to be part of a big show May 10th. Showtime, 8 p.m. Tickets are $20 at the door. It is going to sell out fast. If you don't have your tickets, get them on Eventbrite or get them on the Red Shed Music Venue Facebook page. So we're going to play a little bit of Melody Trucks. Tell us a little bit about Living a Lie. We're going to play that here in a few moments.
Well, that was written